The old saying used to be that death and taxes were the only sure things in life. I'd like to add to that. Death, taxes, and Donald Trump being everywhere, every day, all at once, are now the only sure things you can count on in American life today. Every time you turn on the TV, Donald Trump is doing something, which is even more pronounced after 4 years of Joe Biden, who never did anything. When I think of Joe Biden, I immediately picture our 80-year-old Adonis on the beach, splayed out in all his glory, chiseled, sound asleep. When I picture Donald Trump, the image is a little bit different. I picture someone constantly in motion, doing, working, planning, speaking. The president spoke at the National Prayer Breakfast this morning, and we saw once again the real Donald Trump. Not the fake version of Donald Trump created by the media to scare people into voting for Democrats. For years, it was somehow normal in this country for our own media to refer to a former president as not only a Nazi, but the worst Nazi of them all. But that's not the version we saw today. That's never the version we see because Donald Trump was never any of those things. Is he perfect? No. But the tragedy of how the media portrays the president, what gets missed so often is that Donald Trump is actually a pretty funny guy.
250 years we'll be celebrating next year of our country's founding. We're going to be honoring our heroes, honoring the greatest people from our country. We're not going to be tearing down, we're going to be building up. It would be called the National Garden of American Heroes. It's the president's sole opinion.
All right, so pretty standard stuff right there. The president announcing that we're going to build something on the National Mall to celebrate America's 250th birthday, a park full of statues of American heroes. But who are those statues going to be of, and who gets to pick those heroes? And that's where I almost spit up my coffee this morning in a room full of Democrats. The president went off script and basically needled every single Democrat in the room by saying that he will have sole control over picking who gets a statue.
Some of you will be on that soon-to-be hallowed ground. Some of you, let's see, I can pick a few of you right now by looking. Because there's a couple of you right now I can see. Let's see. It's the president's sole opinion. And I've given myself a 25-year period.
So only Donald Trump could do that. Even Democrats were laughing. The other thing that the media like to do is pretend that Donald Trump doesn't believe in God. They've done this for years, that he's not a religious person. And that always kind of bothered me because there's no template for what makes you a religious person. I know plenty of people that go to church who are not necessarily religious people. I think we all do it in our own way. And it's the same with the president. But what happened in July in Butler, Pennsylvania, when he almost lost his life, changed Donald Trump forever. It would change anyone. And the president knows it.
None of us knows exactly when our time on earth will be over. You never know. A truth I confronted a few short months ago when there was an incident that it was not fun. It was not a good thing. But God was watching me. And if I was a little more than that 90-degree angle, it would be no good. And if I was a little less, it would be no good. It had to be perfect. The thing went right along the edge. It didn't affect my hair. Can you believe that? But no, honestly, it changed something in me. I feel even stronger. I believed in God, but I feel much more strongly about it. Something happened. So, thank you.
The president has clearly been touched by that experience. I think we all would be. But that experience is shaping the way that he governs. Donald Trump is a changed man today. But more importantly for the country, for America, as a result, he's a better president. Right and wrong are the guiding principles of the new administration, which for the first 18 days has been an administration that has been forced to separate insanity from common sense on a daily basis. Men should not be playing girls' sports. That's common sense. But we've indulged in that fantasy of the few for so long that the topic has been an open debate for the last 4 years, which is so far beyond anything that we should be talking about. It really is just a stupid conversation at this point. And just moments before signing an executive order banning men from playing women's sports, the president again made everyone laugh at just how absurd the Democratic Party and the media have been. And when you listen to him, it's hard not to realize just how silly this whole experiment was.
Men claiming to be girls have stolen more than 3,500 victories. That's a lot. Last year, a male cyclist posing as a woman competed in the 800-mile Arizona trail race, a very big deal in cycling, and obliterated the women's course record by nearly 5.5 hours. Sounds like a lot, doesn't it, huh? 5.5 hours, but you have to hear the weightlifting records. You think that's bad. The weightlifting's worse. In 2023, a man in women's power lifting broke 2 world records and outlifted his closest female opponent in one event by 440 pounds. And they continue to defend themselves.
I had my team do some research. We started this project way back on Monday, and we just finished. We wanted to look at gender throughout human history. It was a very big project, and I think we have a graphic here that we can show you. But from the dawn of time until the year 2020, we had 2 genders as a species, Homo sapiens. But between 2020 and the year 2024, there was an odd change in that number where we had as many as 30 different genders. But something changed. And now, from Inauguration Day, January 20th, 2025 to present day, we're back to just 2 genders. Thanks to my team for putting that together. I'm joking, but I'm doing it deliberately to point out how absurd the last 4 years have been. And I think we can probably put that graphic back up from the start one more time. Again, from the dawn of time until 2020, 2 genders. From 2020 until 2024, multiple genders. In this country, over 30. From January 20th, Inauguration Day 2025 to present day today, thankfully, we are back to 2 genders. Follow the science. Well, we did. And guess what? There are 2 genders, officially. I went to the Ringling Brothers Circus Museum with my dad in Florida years ago. Interesting place. In the early days of the circus, the performers would tour the country by train and then spend the entire off-season, the winter months, together trying out new acts. Ringling Brothers created the most famous act in the history of the circus. It was called the Human Oddities. Tom Thumb, the Siamese twins, the bearded lady. Mind you, these were circus performers. But something tells me that if John Ringling were alive today, he'd think the circus had become reality in America. Because headline after headline over the last 4 years sound like something you would see at the circus. But it wasn't the circus. This was our real everyday life for all of us. And President Trump wasn't kidding. A man with a beard pretended to be a woman and set a power lifting record. You might also remember Iman Khalif, an Algerian man who won a gold medal in women's boxing at the Paris Summer Olympics this summer. The International Olympic Committee apparently had absolutely no problem with a man beating up a woman. He beat up a woman in 46 seconds and set an Olympic record. And at that time, we were all told that was perfectly normal. Like something at a Ringling Brothers circus, thousands of people bought tickets to see a man with man parts beat up a woman at the Olympics. In the featherweight division, it was the exact same thing. Lin Yu Ting from Taiwan beat up an actual woman and won a gold medal. And the world celebrated that like it was somehow normal. It was not. But that won't happen again this summer at the Olympics here in 2026 because Donald Trump won't allow it. Donald Trump has common sense and daughters and granddaughters. And like any sane person, no one wants to see their daughter or their granddaughter get beat up by a man.
In a few moments, I'll sign a historic executive order to ban men from competing in women's sports. It's about time. Under the Trump administration, we will defend the proud tradition of female athletes, and we will not allow men to beat up, injure, and cheat our women and our girls. From now on, women's sports will be only for women.
And as we all return to normal and adjust to the new administration, it's important to note, be aware, the resistance is still out there, and they are fierce. And they're out there every single day fighting back. Take a look.
That's who you need to reach first.
Clean up your own backyard.
Clean up your own backyard.
Clean up your own family.
Clean up your own family.
So take a deep breath, everyone. It's been 18 days of undoing everything Joe Biden did. But it's also been 18 days of doing. And that will continue as long as the guiding force behind every decision made at the White House is backed by common sense.